Everyone has a different journey. Everyone knows the path they want to follow, but what you expect is a clear path with very few and far between obstacles. It is crazy how that is never how it actually goes. Sometimes life creates your story in a way we never imagined. For many young athletes, their goal is to one day make it to the league. Over time, everyone's goals change. A vast majority of those kids change their mind and want to do something else. However, not all kids change. For some, that love for the game sticks with them, and a faint feeling says, hey, maybe one day I can make it to the pros. Though to get to the pros is a long journey, especially in a sport like baseball. Everything I just said creates one thing. The journey of Corbin Burns. We are going to rewind all the way to Corbin Burns' high school days. Corbin attended Centennial High School in Bakersfield, California. As an undersized freshman who had dreams of making it to the MLB and fond memories of hitting nukes in home run derbies and even winning a few as a kid, had his sights set on varsity baseball at Centennial. Unfortunately, the undersized freshman didn't play varsity baseball freshman year. However, during sophomore year, Corbin Burns made his varsity debut on February 23, 2011 against Bullard. Centennial senior Cole Hallam opened the season for the Golden Hawks, pitching the first 4 innings. Then out comes reliever Corbin Burns, who pitched the final 3 innings, giving up 1 run and earning himself his first save. The next game, Burns got the save. The following game, after coach decided to let Corbin start against Tehachapi, to say the least, he was dominant, giving up no runs in 5 innings and getting his first win. He would end up playing 8 total games. As a junior, Corbin would lose his entire pitching season. After missing the first month, he returned to his old stomping grounds by returning to the middle infield spots. Burns' best game swinging the bat came early on. He had a bases-clearing double in a 15-0 game against Independence. Corbin finished his last few games of that season and finished the year batting .324 with 11 hits, 4 ribbies, 0 dingers in 11 games total played. Although Burns got a hit in every game besides one, the kid who once hit a lot of home runs seemed to not hit any. After that junior season, more D1 colleges started to notice him. During that time, he realized that he was too small and not good enough to play D1 at the middle infield spots. Corbin Burns was later quoted saying, "It wasn't until I started recruiting for colleges when I learned I wasn't good enough to play middle infield at the Division I level. So I made pitching my focus." Once reality hit, Corbin got back to work. He worked on his craft all during the summer and into senior year. Then in November, just before Thanksgiving, Corbin verbally committed to St. Mary's of California. That same week, Corbin signed his national letter of intent. At first, it seemed that the injury would be a huge setback for Corbin to play ball at the next level, when in reality, it was a blessing in disguise. If not for his injury, Corbin would have never been able to have one final season only playing the infield. He also might have never seen it was time to focus on pitching. Mama Burns posted on social media a few days after signing day saying, "I know the past year has been a struggle because of your surgery, but you worked hard to get where you are today. I know the decision was difficult because of all the opportunities, but I am sure this is the right college for you both academically and to play baseball at. Dad and I are proud of you. Good luck in this next phase of your life." Now, Mama and Papa Burns seem like great people. They focus on sports and academics with all their kids. I had the pleasure of talking to them briefly during a homestand last season. It is evident they went to all his games as a kid and still go to a lot now, as they are supportive of their son. After the journey of Corbin Burns hit an obstacle with the injury and a humbling experience on his college signing, Corbin Burns was finally ready for his senior season at Centennial. Burns started senior season with a statement. Against Frontier, he pitched the first 7 innings, allowing 1 run with 5 Ks. He also got a hit for the Golden Eagles. All season long, he consistently pitched 6+ inning games with very few runs allowed. In Corbin's final high school game, he pitched all 9, allowing 3 earned runs and striking out 5, and once again getting 1 hit. With that solid game to end his high school career, number 16 finished his high school career batting .297 with 38 hits, 27 runs batted in, and 1 homer. 16 finished his pitching career at Centennial with a 2.23 ERA, 32 runs allowed, as well as 89 Ks in 100 innings and 22 games total. But I think giving up only 5 homers is pretty solid in 100 innings. With that chapter coming to a close and Corbin committing to St. Mary's, it was evident that the journey and career of Corbin Burns was only beginning. Post-Centennial, Burns played baseball in the Pacific Shore League. His team was the San Diego Force. During his time with the Force, he helped the Force capture the league title. He used the time with the Force to become a better teammate and pitcher. Corbin saying later on, "The best advice I was given and would give to another player is to be a good teammate." Corbin added on by saying, "When you have a group of guys that are all great teammates, you push each other to be better and to work at your craft every day. When people become selfish and individuals on a team, the team suffers and so does everyone's performance." Burns is a true team player, and that is a big part of his success so far at this point in his story. Before Burns became a staple for the Gales rotation, he had to prove himself. As a freshman in 2014, Corbin once again didn't have the best first year, but at least he made the team this time. As a true freshman, Corbin posted an 0-4 record with a 6.18 ERA. He also struck out 38 in 42.2 innings. Even though Burns didn't have the best season, he did show promise. In a start against UC Davis, he pitched 7 innings, striking out 4 and allowing 1 batter across the plate. When asked about his first season of college ball, Burns said, "My first year at St. Mary's was really just my second or third year pitching, so I was still learning a lot. My body was still changing a lot. I was maturing as a kid. That's what it went into most of it. But also just learning the game of baseball and learning about pitching." For the 2015 season, he began as the Saturday starter, but after 3 straight non-impressive starts, he moved into Fridays. Corbin would navigate his way back to Saturday and finish his second year 7-5. He had led the team in strikeouts with 91. He also pitched 89 innings and cultivated a 3.74 ERA. Looking through his appearances, my favorite was April 2nd against LMU. In that game, Corbin held LMU to 1 run while striking out 7 in a complete game. He also outdueled LMU ace and my hometown of Milwaukee native, Colin Wellman. At that point, the then 20-year-old Burns still needed to get better if he wanted to get to the next level. Corbin Burns' answer seemed to lie in the CCBL, except there was one problem. Cape Cod didn't want him. Okay, so let me paint the picture for you. Corbin just pitched a solid but not great sophomore season. Those numbers he put up, though, should have earned him some looks from a bigger conference like the Pac-12. Due to a thin roster and a school in the midst of a new coach, Corbin was being overlooked. It was his teammate, Cameron Neff, that Cape Cod wanted. Once again, there was another issue. The problem was Neff was a little banged up, and the Gales coach called up the Orleans Firebirds organization. The Firebirds wouldn't be getting who they expected, but it was too late to get someone else. So the Firebirds asked SMU if they had anybody to fill in for Neff. I mean, they better since they just uppercutted the Orleans Firebirds 2015 season. The Gales coach had a player in mind. That summer, Burns headed to Massachusetts to suit up for the Orleans Firebirds. Burns got out there and showed all the scouts that he was an all-star. That season, the Orleans Firebirds were 31-12-1, winning their division. The 2015 Firebirds had a lot of MLB talent. Guys like Corbin Burns, Mariner Kyle Lewis, Red Sox Bobby Dahlbeck, Athletic Sean Murphy, Twin Joe Ryan, Pirate Brian Reynolds, and fellow Brewer Eric Lauer. There were 11 MLB players and counting on that Firebird squad. The most recent was Joe Ryan in the 2021 MLB season. It is crazy how that team didn't capture a title with how much talent they had. Corbin Burns posted a 3.70 ERA with Orleans. He also compiled a 5-3 record with 28 strikeouts. His best moment was when he delivered a strong outing against Chatham, allowing just 1 run to send the Firebirds to the East Finals, where they eventually lost. When Burns got back from Massachusetts, he was a top prospect. It is amazing to think how a team that didn't want him at first helped turn him into an MLB prospect. Corbin talked about his times in Orleans and said, "This is where everything came together and I understood what I had to do as a pitcher." His coach of SMU, Eric Valenzuela, said, "He comes out of there and he's a top prospect. He comes back as a junior and now he's touted as one of the best pitchers in the country. Simple as that." Now as a junior, Burns was ready to show off all of his newly found improvements. Burns was dominant his junior year. Corbin was 9-2 with an ERA of 2.48. He also had 120 strikeouts. Yes, 120 in 101 innings. He gave up 33 walks and 28 earned runs. Those stats were good enough for him to be named to the All-WCC first team. In his final collegiate-level game, he had 10 strikeouts and only 3 earned runs in 5.1 innings in a win against Pepperdine. Just like as before, teams and scouts finally started to notice him. The difference, however, was these scouts were at the big level. Corbin Burns was finally knocking on the big league's door. That summer was something special for Corbin. He was ranked 39 on the 2016 MLB Top 100 Prospects list. Burns spoke to scouts often and he says, "They always ask about the Cape. I always say that was everything for me. It was a big confidence builder." During the conversation with scouts and reporters, he was asked about college, saying, "I started out slow. I got knocked around early. Then I got on a roll, and things started to take shape. Burns was happy to be picked at all, and his attitude showed that. Many others thought he was a potential first rounder. Burns had an advisor, and their opinion was he would be drafted between picks 20 and 40. But, like many other great players, the projection was way off. On June 10th, 2016, Corbin Burns was drafted while at a party with his family. When he got the call from the Brewers scout, in round 4, pick 111, pick 11 in the round, Burns was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers. Despite the long wait before hearing his name called, Burns said, "I am happy to get the next chapter in my life going. It's a dream come true and I'm happy to get back to work." In high school, it was hard to get to college. In college, it was an even bigger challenge to be drafted. Now, Corbin Burns is on the toughest road of all. The road to the show. So like Corbin wanted to, he got back to work. After Burns got his physical and signed his first MLB contract, Corbin was then sent to Appleton, Wisconsin to play for the remainder of the season. During that short time left in the season, Burns appeared in 9 games. Burns held a 2.20 ERA and a 3-0 record in his first little taste of pro ball. Like many young players, Corbin found himself in the Arizona League. Corbin had quick success even though he only pitched in 3 games. As time went by quickly, it was already the 2017 spring training session and Corbin was dazzling the coaches. That spring training put Corbin on the Brewers' radar and earned himself a spot on the Brewers' AA affiliate, the Biloxi Shuckers. Corbin would erupt the baseball world, leading all leagues in ERA for majority of that season. In time spent in Mississippi and Carolina, Burns would tally an 8-3 record with a 1.67 ERA and 145 innings pitched. He did, however, allow in 27 runs across 26 games. Corbin's 2017 minor league stats had him blipping on the Brewers' radar and on the cusp of a major league call-up. Corbin Burns was asked how he went from a very low-level prospect to the hottest pitcher in all the minors. Corbin's response made everyone happy. He said, "We made a couple of adjustments in spring training, and things have taken off since then." In my opinion, that's an understatement. Not many are on the brink of going pro in 1 year, yet alone a 4th rounder. What he did was make me and the rest of the Brewers fans want to see him in 2018. The slight change you were wondering about? Well, it is as simple as squaring his body more towards home plate. Burns said, "It allowed for a more on-time delivery." Corbin was speaking with the media about the results he had since making this change, and Burns stated, "You always expect good results out of yourself, but I don't even look at the results. I look at how I throw the baseball." With that change, he only had 3 to 4 bad balls, and 1 was his first stinger allowed. So I guess that makes sense why he stated that. Burns has shown he is also a very patient person and a very patient player. Even though he is rapidly rising with Corbin's mentality, he will be at the AAA in no time, and even the big show in no time. When Burns had his first promotion, he described how it felt, and reading it gave me goosebumps. He said, "I didn't even know I was coming here. When they said, 'Hey, it's time for you to go,' that's how it is. The only thing I can do is keep performing." His performance, however, led him to the Brewers' Minor League Pitcher of the Year award. He would also be in the top 25 prospects list during the offseason. Burns would start the 2018 season with his next task: defeat AAA and crack the majors. Burns wouldn't have the best start of his career in AAA, but he had the stuff. That's all that matters. On July 8th, 2018, the wait was over. Burns got the call to the big leagues. He made his way to Miami, where the Crew were playing at the time. On July 10th, Burns was sitting watching the game. Brewers were up in that game, and Counsell finally made the call. Burns made his way out of the mound in front of a crowd of 5,000 in Marlins Park. Burns would pitch the final 2 innings and recorded his first career save. It was evident Corbin would be a huge help going forward. The rest of that season flew on by. The Brewers would be 1 game out of the Fall Classic. There was a lot for Burns to be happy about. He made his Major League debut, went 7-0 with a 2.61 ERA in 30 games, and his girlfriend and him were happy. Or what's not to like? Now Burns was on to his sophomore year. He already knew he is supposed to be a starter based on his last conversation he had with coach. Many MLB players have a sophomore slump. Burns was no different. There was one difference: Burns was historically bad. He posted an ERA over 8. After 2 months of starting and his first career start not going according to plan, Burns was finally demoted. But let's forget about 2019, shall we? Now the problem was humans in general also want to forget about 2020. Fortunately, baseball wasn't completely cancelled and we had a 60-game season. The players only had 1 week to be ready and that created many issues. Not for Corbin Burnes though. He got another chance as a starter. This time Corbin ran with it. He finished the season 6th in Cy Young voting. Corbin had an amazing stat line showing a 4-1 record with a 2.11 ERA. If there were an All-Star game in 2020, Corbin would have definitely pitched for sure. During the offseason, Corbin tied the knot and him and his longtime girlfriend got married. Once again, life was going Corbin's way. As 2021 was fast approaching, many fans agreed on something. They seemed to think 21 was a prove-it year for Burnes. Burnes probably didn't read all those articles, but you would think he did with how he performed. Corbin Burnes opened up his 21 campaign right where his 20 left off. He was lights out from the start, breaking MLB record after MLB record. He eventually got an All-Star game spot. Then after the break, got his very first no-no. Burnes never showed signs of slowing down, dominant start after dominant start after dominant start. It ended up leading his team to the playoffs. And even then, they did good against the eventual champs, the Atlanta Braves. Burnes' 2021 chapter would not close yet as he still had one more surprise in him. He won the hard-fought 2021 NL Cy Young Award, beating out two of the great pitchers from this past season. Although Burnes didn't have the typical easy and no obstacle path that we all hope for, he still had a memorable one just like me and you will have one day, hopefully to tell to our children. Another chapter may have closed in Corbin Burnes' story, but the legacy and journey of Corbin Burnes is just getting started.